Hey, let me talk about the last section that I've read of Feel Free by Zadie Smith, her collection of essays, all written around the administration, not not as a subject, but sort of the time of the administration of Barack Obama. And what do we get? We get Man versus Corpse, which is her kind of riffing off, talking about a painting of a man carrying a corpse, and kind of getting into Warholian kind of like depersonalization, as in like corpseification. I think she uses the word corpseification in it. And just, sort of there's a certain thing of the masters of just like, this way we all shall pass, even though we really want to make an exception for ourselves in that. There's far more deep, I'm sure, ideas going on there, but I will pass over lightly. We get the Bieber Boober confluence, where she uses Justin Bieber and his meeting people, meet and greets with Buber, who was very obsessed with relations between people. He was a German kind of philosopher, stuff like that, where he very much was of the opinion that sort of feelings aren't really you're far more defined by your relations than you are by your feelings, and that feelings are rather actually a very kind of passing, ephemeral thing. They're not really a great thing to base your personality on, which is probably not a great thing. But and you could take Bieber as your kind of example of this, of him, doing one of these meet and greets where he's meeting literally hundreds and thousands of people as a love object. People love him, don't know him, but they love him. And just the continual, being continually on the receiving end of that in a kind of depersonalized way, where what was it, Buber was talking about the idea that, the number of people you actually truly meet in a profound sense, that they're not just basically just sort of objects that you react to, or that you get something from, or that you actually meet someone, that they basically take up the entire constellation of your sky. They loom that giant, that kind of meeting is actually vanishingly rare. And what we mostly have is you encountering objects in your life that you negotiate with and stuff like that. So that was a good pairing of Bieber and Buber. She burned down a square in Rome. Was it Rome or in Italy? In somewhere in Italy, where she lived for a while. Yes. Actually, I really enjoyed the one that she did, which was on her living in Manhattan, and the idea of it being kind of a sociopathic town, and it being good for her own sociopathy, of just like, was it because she was looking at a advertisement which was like, find your beach was the advertisement, and I think it was for a beer or something like that. But there was a thing in there of kind of very kind of like ruthless, sociopathic, self-actualization, that she feels like that's kind of the energy that someplace like Manhattan has had. That's why a lot of artists actually live there, because of that kind of maniacal kind of tunnel vision, not giving a fuck about anyone else, just going for your vision kind of a energy that she found there. Even though that she admits nowadays the only people that can afford to live there are bankers. There were people like supported by a university, but the majority of actual artists probably live somewhere like in Brooklyn or something like that. fucking sociopaths there too. All and you get that sense of like, oh, it's only your mind getting, and she's saying this with appropriate kind of sarcasm and scorn, that it's only your mind that gets in the way, getting in the way of wanting to do anything, which is a super 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 privileged attitude to take, of like, oh, it's just your mind getting in the way, not fucking all the socioeconomic histories and structures that crush millions and millions of people every day, and they're never given a fucking chance to self-actualize in the way that things are able to do. And she did a final essay, which was joy versus pleasure. There's she talks about how, like, she's like a really easy mark for pleasure. She loves food, and but she's rather boring to cook for, because she'll go a whole day on a high of like a pineapple, of the anticipation of a pineapple popsicle. She loves any food, and she'll get admonished by her husband. It's like, don't tell me that's amazing. That's just, it's like, an annoyance at her thing. But she says, like, so she can get hits. She can be genuinely happy. Genuinely happy. At various. Theo, come on. Go on. So she can be genuinely happy at plenty of, things of the day. But joy is something that she's only had a number of times, from love, from hospital, sort of various actual drug use things. She actually describes one of dropping ecstasy in a club in like 1999, and having this guy Smiley, who was basically a pill popper, who sort of shepherded her through it. And it's like, it was joy. It was complete utter joy. It was, as chemical joy. And she woke up the next day, and fortunately all the things that were laced with profundity and all that were kind of revealed in the next day as kind of like banal, dumbass things. But she did experience joy, like in the subjective kind of thing. It doesn't take away from the fact that it was joy. She wonders, like, if there was anyone who was in this particular club in 1999 when they were playing this music, was this a valid experience? Did you take ecstasy too? Did you also, have this transcendent moment? Yeah, because I think about that, about being on the lip of the Grand Canyon and feeling kind of a sense of the immensity of the universe, and it's still there in an intellectual sense, but the memory is still there. The feeling of joy, of awe, is there. Kind of religious awe is there in my own memory. So yeah, that was Zadie Smith's collection of essays. It's interesting. I was thinking about Hilary Mantel as I was riding home listening to this collection, because she did a collection which I think is a little bit more diffident, no less intelligent, but I think I found Zadie Smith's collection a little bit more engaging, a little bit more far-ranging. On the levels, I was like, I would probably seek out more of Zadie Smith's essays than I would Hilary Mantel, even though I enjoyed Hilary Mantel's essays as well. But yeah, it's just interesting when you're like, oh, I have two collections of essays that I've actually listened to. I can compare and contrast. So yeah, I'm really glad I listened to this one. I don't know if I will. I think I said I would maybe pick the odd essay or two to re-listen to, and then just use them as kind of reviewing examples to review in a review. Just say, okay, I liked it overall, and let me just talk about one or two, because if you if you try and do the whole thing, it just gets diffused. So yeah, I think I'll just pick my favorites and go from there. All right, more videos later.